Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my January TBR, basically the books that I'm hoping to read for the first month of 2023. I'm very excited. We're starting all of the challenges, which makes me slightly nervous, and I have a big pile. I feel this is going to be my first very ambitious, if not ridiculous, TBR, but that's how we like it here. Usually I end up reading most of them, so we're hoping for the best here. So I'm going to start with the two books that we're going to read with the Patreon book club if you are interested. The first one is our monthly pick, which is the Kaiju Preservation Society by Jen Scalzi. I've been wanting to read something by him for too long. I have a couple of his books on my shelf, so we're getting to it. This is fairly short. This is an adult kind of sci-fi. If I understood correctly, you're following this man who works a dead-end job during the pandemic. It's not about the pandemic, don't worry though. And he's working like food delivery app, and he gets a new job where he has to take care of dinosaurs, but they're not really on Earth. I think it's like alternative universe. Either way, I've heard great things. I've heard that it's a quick read and that it's funny. And I feel like that would be a really good book to read together for our first month of the year. Nothing too dramatic. It can be hard to find, good book or books really that most people would enjoy, and I think we're gonna love this one. I feel like it has a lot of really great positive reviews, and it was part of the Goodreads Choice Award for the sci-fi section. So we're gonna be reading this first. It's, like I said, pretty short. It's like 250-ish pages, so looking forward to that one. I think we're gonna enjoy this one. The second one for the book club is for our classic section. So we have the month of January and February to read North and South, which I've heard so many amazing things about this one. I actually started accidentally the TV show without realizing it was a book. Obviously, we picked it up, and I'm very excited about that one. I believe this one is like slightly romance, as a lot of classic are, but it's mostly about, social commentary about time too, and I think we're gonna like this one too. So yes, our first two picks for the book club, the first two books, again, not too big, and then we can watch a TV show. I'm going to go through all the physical ones that I want to read, and then I'll go to the ebooks and audiobooks. So I just recently picked up this book, Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. I feel like the contrast of this title with the cover, it seems so bubbly and happy. It makes me laugh, but you're following this woman, I believe she's 28, I just started it, and she suffers from like anxiety, and it's really, really bad, and she's just being very anxious. I was told that I would get anxiety from this book, which you might be wondering, why do I want to read this? Listen, if you tell me it's a good book and it's going to give me an existential crisis, I'll probably pick it up. So yes, I'm looking forward to reading this one. Like I said, I started it. I think I'm going to go through it with like small doses, just because again, she suffers from a lot of anxiety. I'm at page 44. So far she loses her job and she finds a new job working in a secretary in a church, but she's like an atheist lesbian, and like so far it's funny in an anxious way. So we'll see how that one goes. And then I also wanted to throw a small book in here, even though the ones I've shown so far are pretty short, but you're going to see I have a huge one I need to go through. So I really wanted to get to this one, Galatia by Madeleine Miller. This one is about, it's always a retelling with her, myth retelling. And in this one, you're following this woman. Well, she was a sculpture made by this man, and she is given the blessing of life, and she ends up marrying the sculptors, but the sculptor is like an awful man. So looking forward to that one again. Very short, should be a quick one. I also wanted to include a couple nonfiction. It's one of my challenges this year to try and read as many as possible, like I did last year. It went really well. Last year I finished 33 throughout the year. I did a video reviewing all of them if you are interested. So I'm trying to do the same this year, and the two that I want to read a physical copy of, actually, let me just put it on the screen. Actually, it's right here. I'm currently reading this one, Untitled, which is How Male Privilege Hurts Women. I have like 2 chapters left, so I'm going to finish this like in a couple days this month. And then I'm going to go to Woman, Race, and Class by Angela Davis. This is just a classic nonfiction about feminism and just, class and race. So I'll let you know how that goes. I'm looking forward to this. And then the other one I want to read the physical copy of is this one. This is Doing Harm, the Truth About How Bad Medicine and Lazy Science Leave Women Dismissed, Misdiagnosed, and Sick. It was a topic I went through a lot last year. I read like 4 or 5 books on the topic. This was the last one that was on my original list because I feel like that's something a lot of us go through, and myself included. And yes, I finally found a copy of it, so I wanted to read it and annotate it. I started doing that. Like the post-it thing, sure, but I started underlining passages. Listen, this is a big step for me. I used to be that person that would never write in my books. Maybe one day I'll go crazy and like highlight sections. Looking forward to that one too. Going back to fiction. Yes. I actually started this one, The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. This is the last book in the second series of the Mistborn world, so it's always complicated to explain that world, but this one is more like Western style compared to the first trilogy, which was more Dark Ages, medieval inspired. So yes, it was really interesting so far to see how the magic system was influenced with the fact that now people have guns. And the characters, the 2 main characters are fun, the banter and everything. I'm not as invested as the first series, but I've heard that the ending of this one is going to be good. So like I said, I started it. I'll let you know how it goes, but I need to read some Brandon Sanderson. I haven't read much last year, only the 2 short stories in between book 2 and 3 in the Skyward World, they weren't good. They really weren't good. I do have one ebook, one ARC advanced reader copy I really want to read in January. And it's A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the second book. Well, this is technically the prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, which was one of my favorite standalone fantasy. She's now coming out with more books. It's technically a prequel though. Does it count? I usually am a big hater of authors that say, oh, it's a standalone and then it becomes, a series. I'm making an exception. Listen, I'm not objective. Nobody is. And I'm okay with this. I feel like there was a ton of world building in book 1, so I want to see more. I wanted to see more about the witches, so I'm hoping we're going to get some of that. In that world, they have magic and they have giant dragons. So like, of course I want to read more. So not enough really good fantasy series with dragons. So yes, looking forward to that one. This one is coming out at the end of February, so I will eventually get a physical copy. I'm going to try to read as much of this one as possible because February I have a big challenge that lasts throughout the whole month, so I need to try to read it in January if possible. Audiobook wise, I'm currently listening to Toxic Positivity. So far so good. I have about 40% left to it, and it's like 6 hours, so like I'm gonna be done with it early. After that, I'm gonna be picking up Nettle and Bone. This has been recommended to me a ton. I believe this is an adult fantasy, and I've been told that the main character is a bit older, although some people were saying in the comment section that she doesn't really act older. So either way, this has been recommended to me as a fun, kind of wholesome fantasy. I've been trying to find cozy fantasy. If you have any recommendations, I feel like I'm going to ask you this in a couple of videos, trying to make a list because I really want to try and find some, because I usually am not a big cozy reader, whether it's sci-fi or fantasy, but it's growing on me, and I feel like it's the winter. We're all a little bit depressito, so I could use a bit of a wholesomeness. I also have The Maid on my TBR, on my waiting list at the library. And this is part of my Goodreads challenge, trying to read some of the winners or nominees. And this was the winner actually in 2022 for the mystery thriller section. And this was on my TBR last year, well, in 2021, but everyone told me it was awful, so I removed it from my library waiting list. And now that it's the winner, I put it back because I want to read it to see how I feel about it. But I'm really nervous because everyone seems to hate it. Why did it win though, if it's so bad? So I'll try it out myself. Maybe I'm going to be really impressed. We'll see what happens, but I have low expectations. I believe the main character is on the spectrum, and some people hated the representation, so we'll see how I feel about it. And then on the official list, the last book that I have is Empire of Pain, which was also on my TBR last year in the nonfiction section. I've heard fantastic things. This is about the Sackler family. I keep calling them Sickler. Sackler family, basically pain meds, opioid crisis. That's the word I was looking for in the US. So it's about kind of the history of how it happened. So looking forward to that one. The only reason I didn't end up picking it up last year is that the audiobook is like 18 hours, and I just was trying to squeeze in a couple last ones before, the end of the year. And this was too long. I couldn't commit. So we're doing this hopefully this month. Otherwise, there will also be one challenge that's going to be my Read It or Unhaul It, which I said I'm committing to doing it once every month. I'm super nervous about this one because this is the jar. we have about 400 books, 411, I think, the exact number, unread books from my shelf in here. And it's a bit tight, don't worry. I got a bag to try and pick one because right now it's way, way too full. But yes, we're trying to reduce the amount of forgotten books on my shelf. So for a whole week, I will be committing to reading books from that jar every month. Sometimes it's going to be longer, sometimes maybe, well, probably not less, to be honest. But depending on the size of the books and which ones I pick, personally, I'm terrified of this challenge, even though I swear the more nervous I am about a challenge, the more you are excited about it. So it depends. Like if I pick really a giant book, you know, I'll try to pick it up. But yes, I think I'm going to leave this a surprise every month. So let me know how you feel about this. But it's going to be a reading vlog. We've also voted, and I'm not going to be adding the books that I buy throughout the year. But some of you suggested, and I approve, that I have a cabinet over there. I'm going to put all the books that I buy this year on this cabinet, and if I read them, I'll put them on my shelf. If I don't, then either mid-year or at the end of the year, I'll be able to write them all down and put them in the jar for next year. If I continue, it all depends on how it's going to go, honestly. If this puts me in an awful reading slump, then, you know, we'll keep it for a challenge once in a while, and if I love it, we're going to keep it every year. So we'll adapt. Very scared, very scared. It might go super well, though, and I'm currently doing an unofficial version of this. So my first reading vlog you're going to see is me going through some YA sci-fi and fantasy that have been on my shelf for like 5 years, and I'm going through them. I'm doing this right now. So the first couple days of January, I'm focusing on that, and then we're going to go to the actual TBR. So yeah, it's going to be a busy month. But it has to happen because in February, again, you voted and you chose, it was either doing the Read It or Unhaul It challenge all month or my usual 1 week, one shelf, and we're going to go with that one. We're going to talk about it that month, but I'm letting you know right now, that's the one that won the vote. This is my TBR for the month. I'm a little nervous, as you can see, but I am hopeful that some of these are going to become favorites. Like there are some really good ones, some of the ones that I've been very excited to read for months. So thumbs up, subscribe, let me know in the comment section. Which one of these do you want me to make sure I read this month? Because I should have time to get to most of these, probably all of them, we'll see. But I'll prioritize the ones you want reviews of as soon as possible. So yes, I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out. And I will see you in my next video very soon, which is probably going to be the reading vlog of the YA books. Because, ooh, things got interesting. Bye. Have you seen my shirt? It is absolutely glorious. I got that for Christmas, so